We are live and in color. Oh my gosh. So I gotta give us a little bit of music. I gotta give us some until we come up. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to work on that.
We're definitely gonna work on it. We're gonna get it together. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Welcome to Intimate Discoveries, the podcast where you have the golden and the champ right here live Mondays and Wednesdays, helping you to figure out how you can have more meaningful relationships. In this episode, we are going to talk about the impact of untreated trauma in relationships. Last episode was good. We recommend you go back and get that, and know that we're here. So together, we will break down the top 5 challenges individuals face in navigating life with untreated trauma. I'm your host, the co-host with Golden, and it's the champ. Let's go!
They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here now. And I'm here to stay, never go down.
You can hear music. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's the words. We got it. I understand. It's okay. It's okay what we do here, but you can't hear this though, right? You can't hear. Can you hear them cheering for you? Yes, let's love on Golden. Let's love on Golden. I'm telling you, a major part of the show. We are increasing listeners and people subscribing. And we want to. I just want to say a quick shout out and quick thank you for Golden. You have truly helped me and has been a great friend, and I just want to say thank you because heart to heart would not be together if your heart was not here with our hearts.
How's the heart?
Huh? Let me put it up there. Let me hold up a little bit more. Hold it up. Ow! You see that? You see them hearts coming? Ow! Did you know we'll do that?
Thank you. I didn't.
You did.
I did not know you could do that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we last episode we talked about, let me see, we're gonna wave here who's hot lady JD. We're gonna say hello to her. Woo, 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 woo. Welcome to the show. You can always tune in or request to come on live if you want to, or you can come on live on the podcast on the Podbean app, whichever one works for you. So can you give us a recap of what we talked about last week and what we're gonna do?
Yeah. So last week we had a very in-depth, phenomenal discussion about untreated trauma and how untreated trauma can lead to just chaos in your relationships, and not necessarily in your relationships, but in your personal life, and how it can affect you in many ways. It's physical, it's mental, and how it can it's almost like a sore that goes untreated. And over time, if it's not treated, guess what's going to happen to that sore? It's going to just fester, and it's just going to get worse. And until it's treated with some type of antibiotic, and sometimes you might lose your leg or your foot, depending on how you treat it.
Right.
Yeah. It was a very good conversation. We had some comments, we had some responses that I hope we will get into tonight, and we can answer some questions and, just give people the tools and information to help themselves to feel better, to get where they need to be, and also to get out of situations. For example, untreated trauma, one of the major effects that can affect a relationship is domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
When trauma just goes untreated, it's like, well, first, you know what? Let's explain, give the definition of what is trauma. And I actually wrote it down. So what is trauma? If anybody's like, what really is trauma? Mm-hmm. So trauma is a physiological and emotional impact that comes from an extreme event or series of events that put someone beyond their ability to cope. Trauma can stem from something that happened when you were a child. Let's say you were whipped with a belt. Mm-hmm. And so that really played into your mind as you got older into your adulthood. And so when you became a parent, guess what you did? You started whipping your children with a belt. Mm-hmm. And that's whipping your child with a belt became abusive. And it became deeper, and it became harder, and it became more brutal. And so, in essence, you took on this abusive behavior that you learned as a child. And I'm not saying everyone who was whipped with a belt, because I grew up with belts and switches.
Well, I had the extension cord, and those were traumatic experiences. Right?
But luckily, I wasn't beat with an extension cord. Now, some of my siblings were, and it can be it's a traumatizing effect on a child, and then as they grow up, they're carrying this burden of these beatings, and the beatings can lead to nightmares. It can just lead to so much trauma in a person's life. But like I said, trauma can extend from a car accident. Mm-hmm. It can happen when you have a major fall. It can happen if you are a basketball player and you are hurt in some way. That can be traumatizing. So It doesn't take much for the brain to internalize this traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. And so the most important thing is having the coping skills, triggers, understanding how to deal with such trauma.
Right.
So it's not festering. So it's healing. You will never forget. We'll never forget. Right. But over time, we can heal. Mm-hmm. And heal. And we can learn how to manage our trauma. So it's not spilling over into our friendships, our family, our relationships. So that's pretty much what trauma is.
Mm-hmm. And when I think of trauma and when you talk about those extreme situations or circumstances that goes beyond an individual's ability to cope, that event or series of events. And so as I pictured that, I was looking at a Rubik's Cube. Right? And you're coping. In order for you to cope, you have to be able to align all the colors within 1 minute. Right? That's regardless of how you turn it, you can turn it and reset it back in 1 minute. Mm-hmm. But based on the extreme of that person turning that Rubik's Cube, switching it up, right? Mm-hmm. Causes you, makes it difficult for you to cope within 1 minute. Mm-hmm. And as that person, oh my gosh, as that person continues to go through those situations and they continue to mix up the Rubik's Cube. And that person never have the space to really reset the cube back so that all the colors are there.
Yeah.
Right.
And we call that like chronic stress. Mm-hmm. And chronic stress can be a situation where you're not able to cope and handle the situation that is so heavy on your mind. And it can keep you from sleeping. Mm-hmm. It can increase, what do they call it? A weakened immune system. Mm-hmm. You can have health issues when you're stressed, chronic stress. And it can cause heart problems. I mean, from A to Z, when they say stress will kill you, stress can kill you. Mm-hmm. And part of this stress is untreated trauma. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you just go on in life, and you just go on in life, and you're thinking you're dealing with it. Oh, I'm good. I'm managing. I know. But then I see this destructive behavior over here. Mm-hmm. I see drinking more. I see that you're going out. I see that you are, every time I say the smallest things to you, you get irritated and you go off. You just go ballistic. Mm-hmm. So, it's like, what is going on? Because a person can only take so much.
Right.
As humans, we can only carry so much baggage to the point we lose it.
Right.
And if we don't get the tools to manage it, if we don't get professional help to manage it, the ultimate explosion is going to happen.
Right. And I think that it's important for us to recognize that you could function with untreated trauma. That you can go to work, you can go do different things with that untreated trauma, and you can build a norm that you believe is okay for you to mask this untreated trauma. And at some point, depending on the situation or circumstances, that untreated trauma can show up, and so most times will show up in those relationships. Mm-hmm. Right?
And also, you're talking about, you mentioned in your workplace, in your professional career, it can cause, the impairment of cognitive functioning. Mm-hmm. It can cause you to not be able to concentrate, not be able to focus on doing at work. It can cause financial instability. Let's say you're a numbers person and you have this untreated, exacerbated trauma just eating at you. And you're at work and you're making mistakes and you're unable to sit in a conference.
Right.
Because it's just so heavy on your mind. And so when it gets to that point, we need to get help. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to get help. It's just, and I know that a lot of people believe, because someone tell me, well, I'm not crazy. No, you're not crazy.
Right.
But you're struggling with something. Mm-hmm. You are not crazy. And I think that term crazy is just, it's a stigma.
Right.
Actually, my son has said, Mom, I don't even talking about it. I'm not crazy. Oh, so you think because you speak to someone, you're crazy. Mm-hmm. And I had to tell him, I said, so I guess Mom's crazy.
Right.
I have to speak to someone.
Yeah. And so I often refer to the feelings wheel. Mm-hmm. And one of the benefits of therapy is to give you the space to properly assign those experiences with the right feelings. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah, and so like let's take this for example. That I couldn't tell anybody I was scared. So I just shoved it over in the mad file. It showed up when I was mad. And so when I go to therapy, they would then help me, talking about the situation. That I will be able to say, I was mad. They told me I'm all irate, and why you always mad. And then you come back to the situation where you were feeling inferior, but nobody gave you the opportunity to put that situation in the inferior folder, right? That you weren't mad, you just felt inferior. And you're like, oh, you know what? I understand that part. And now when I think about it, I wasn't feeling inferior. I was feeling inadequate. So that moment that I had, I can now assign that to feeling inadequate. And I know that that's what that was. And then now I can come back within myself and then reconfirm myself or affirm myself that I am adequate. I am good enough. And so then that situation, watch this, just goes to sit in that file. That you're not walking around with these experiences that have been misassigned. Right? And then here's the really great part about it. When someone comes to talk to you about how they feel and what's going on with them, that now that you have a situation, oh my God, now that you have a situation that has been assigned to inadequate, that you can then relate to that person. And I think this is the part where we have failures in our relationships because, oftentimes women say he wasn't emotionally available. And the reason that he was emotionally unavailable is because the mere fact that those 12 feelings in his part, he never got a chance to assign them. And so because you want him to go down there and assign them, and he's been taught to no, don't be vulnerable, don't show weakness, don't even go down up in there. And now it's difficult for him to connect because those circuits up there, furious, frustrated, selfish, jealous, those feelings are never recognized or assigned an experience.
Well, that's why it's so important to talk to someone because, when are we getting comments?
No, there's somebody replying somewhere, but I'm going to put it on mute.
Okay. When, what was I going to say? So I don't know if we're getting any comments. I can't see.
No, we haven't gotten any comments yet, but we going on with the show. We good.
Questions.
Yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in. And so when we look at so here's the thing. There individuals with untreated trauma, there are 5 challenges for individuals just for the person navigating with untreated trauma. And like you said, we're just gonna touch on 5 of them today. We may get to all 5, but we're gonna go down the list, right? And so, like you were saying earlier about emotional regulation, right? Struggling to control emotions, leading to impulsive reactions and conflicts in relationships. Right? What do you say about that? That emotional regulation.
I think it's obvious because when you're dealing with a situation and some people don't recognize that it's trauma, that they're dealing with some sort of trauma. Just imagine you're growing up and you had been sexually abused.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going through life and you don't really recognize, that you've been touched without permission or consent. but you just go through life because no one has ever told you important enough that anyone cared.
Mm-hmm.
So you may not recognize those signs of trauma. You may not, you just go through life. It's just like, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just accept it. And until you sit down and you start talking about, so, how were you raised?
Mm-hmm.
Were you close to your father? Blah, 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 blah. You just start asking questions to get the person to understand, well, guess what? You were sexually abused as a young child.
Mm-hmm.
You were carrying this heavy burden, this heavy load. And now you're 30 years old and you're wondering why you are drinking. You're wondering why you have your behavior is promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
You're wondering why you're struggling with communication. You're wondering why you're struggling with intimacy in your relationship.
Right.
And some people just don't understand that what you are experiencing is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
It's okay because that situation happened. And the other part that we can say is, in most of those traumatic experiences, you had nothing to do with it. Right? You had absolutely nothing to do with the trauma that occurred or happened to you. It was not that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or had you just made a left turn or went to the right or whatever, that wouldn't have never happened. And it's all your fault. Well, that's not true. It's not your fault that traumatic experience happened to you.
Right.
The part that you can control now is how you interact with individuals moving forward.
Right.
And there are resources out there for you to begin to navigate this life absent from the trauma that you've experienced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
And people have to understand that, there is a moment of healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for healing. There's a place for healing. And that over time you can heal and you will be able to move forward in life. Mm-hmm. But it takes work.
It takes work.
It takes a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey. I mean, we've all been through something traumatic in our lives.
Right.
Lord, I have. And, it takes time. It takes gig.
Mm-hmm. It takes gig. And if you're tuning in right now and you've experienced trauma in some form or fashion, just type in, I was there before, right? Let us know that you were there before, right? Because we know all of us have experienced some form of trauma.
Absolutely.
And so you were talking about gig.
Yeah, people, I think when people go through trauma, how it affects them, it can affect others.
Mm-hmm.
It can affect others. If you have people in your life that love you and care about you, trust me, they're not going through life just oblivious, not believing that you are okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you love someone, if you care about someone, you want to see them as healthy as possible, physically, mentally. So you're going to take the time to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's very important. But it's just, it's a process. It's like a process to reclaim control. Because when you are going through trauma, it's you feel like you're not in control. Something in your life has just taken over.
Right. So we got a couple of comments. Right. We have one person said, "I was there before." Do you see the comments, Golden?
No, I can't see the dang.
What? And Okay, so we got one comment that said, I was there before, Hot Lady JD. And then we have
Hey, JD.
yes, and then we have Holly Balls. She was saying I was there before, and now at 43 years old, I'm still dealing with it. Right?
And I say to JD, is JD?
Yeah, she's like, hey, yes, JD, yes, she's there.
Hey. I say continue on your path. Continue the path of healing. Continue to talk. Continue to fight, because you are not going to get through it. And we go through.
Yes.
We have to go under it. We can't go over it. We have to walk through that valley of death.
Yes.
We have to go through it. And so you will know when you start to heal, to feel better. And it's like you're always going through something. It's some shit always coming up in our lives that we have to deal with. And you just take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, and it becomes heavy on our shoulders.
Yes.
It becomes like talking to, who was I talking to today? I was talking to one of my girlfriends today, and, she was talking about an incident, that happened and how it bothered her. And I said, you know what? I said, from what I'm hearing, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Blame for what that person did. So don't carry that. Be careful about carrying other people's burdens.
Right.
Because burdens can weigh you down. And we have enough on our plates that we do not need unnecessary burdens. And I work hard on that. Because I'm always trying to figure out this and that. And I'm like, Gloria, you know what? That is not your burden to carry. It's their burden to carry. Right. And so I have to I have to be gentle with myself.
With yourself.
Yeah.
And stern. And fix it. Hey, listen, you got to be accountable to yourself too. To say, hey, hold on. I haven't figured out my traumas yet, right? I haven't perfected. I haven't properly reassigned these feelings. I'm still getting triggered, right? And the thing is that you can't control the situations that are going to trigger you, right? However, you can control the situations that you put yourself in that are known to trigger you. Does that make sense?
Sometimes it catches you off guard.
And I know, and you're right. Sometimes they can catch you off guard, but the thing is that you have to reconcile the books. To say, hey, hold on, I'm hanging out with you, and it's something that I had to do. I had to deal with this, right? Because I was in Chicago this past week, and I had a situation where I felt triggered. I felt triggered, and you talking to me a certain way, and that triggered me.
But let me ask you a question. So when you felt this trigger or triggers, did you or did you not have the tools to manage?
No. And here's the reason why. Because of my current situation, that I could, it caused a physical reaction within my body, right? And so I couldn't turn it off. And so what I did as my coping mechanism is I went to lay down. I didn't, and the part that I didn't do, that person didn't know I was triggered. I didn't blow up in that person's face. I didn't blow up with them. But what I did do is I removed myself. I'm like, hey, listen, I gotta go. Gave a thumbs up, and then I went down and got in the bed. And I relaxed, and I was like, you know what? I gotta let this person know that when you do that, it triggers me. And again, it's I'm going to therapy. I'm working on myself, and matter of fact, I'm doing well managing those situations. I'm a better person now. It's the problem is that those things that happened in my life, they happened, and there's nothing I can do about what happened. But when you do something, it doesn't happen until I don't get triggered until somebody else does something. I can't just trigger myself. So when I got triggered, I'm like, you know what? I need to let you know that what you did triggered me. And can you not do that? Because I don't want to be triggered when I'm with you. And the response from that person was not favorable. Because they didn't say, you know what, I hear you. I'm sorry. You know, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be more sensitive to the fact that you're diagnosed by the VA, that you have PTSD, and that those situations and circumstances came up that you can't control, and that they have you on medication and everything else. And that part was, and they didn't recognize that. And so for me, I said, you know what? Hey, listen. I can't be around you and be in a situation. I can't be around you because you're not sensitive to events that happened to me that were, watch this, that were extreme. In those moments, I was unable to cope in those moments. And because I told you that, and you decide to continue to, I'm just this way. Oh no, you can be that way at home. You can be that way over someplace else. And so one of the responses that person said was, well, you sound just like my baby's father, who has PTSD and who he was in the military. You sound just like him. And then I told him, I said, hey, listen, I don't care about him. What I care about is how you treat me and the way you talk to me, and it causes me to trigger. And if you're insensitive to that, then guess what? I need to go someplace else. Which is what you were talking about, as far as there will be moments in your life where you got to make a decision, right? And then one of the comments that someone said is, taking the high road is not always the way to go, because like you said, sometimes you have to address it.
That's right. You got to face it head on.
You got to face it head on, and no, go ahead.
But then you also have to understand who you're dealing with. For example, let's take the person that said to you, you know, you have PTSD like my baby mama, baby drama, whatever.
Right.
So from that comment, I would be like, you know what? I'm talking to an idiot, and my dad used to always tell us when I was growing up, he used to say, do not argue with a fool. So when someone makes a comment like that, oh, you sound like my baby mama, and her
right.
That sounds to me, that's putting everyone who is suffering from PTSD into one category. That tells me you're an idiot, and just sometimes you have to walk away. And sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I have to tell myself, you know, my dad said to me, do not argue with a fool.
And did your dad hang out with my dad? Because my dad told me something similar. He said, agree. My dad, go ahead. My dad told me, he said, agree with a fool. Save yourself some time. Save yourself some time.
You just have to. Well, so sometimes you do have to say, you know what? I got to take the high road on this one, and I'm not going to argue with a fool. But then there are occasions when you can't take the high road. Let's say your partner is upset about something, and you can't take the high road because you need to address the issue.
Because it's important to you.
you have to address it head on. And it may get into a heated discussion, or the person may get upset. They may not be accepting of it and say, you know what, I can see you getting upset right now. So let's come back to the table tomorrow. Let's come back to the table another time where we can talk, when we're both calm and we can listen, because I want to understand how you're feeling. I want to understand what is going on with you, because I love you. I want to help you. And so I think that when you talk to the person, if they're not a fool, you can work things out. Sometimes it's hard. It's almost never easy. I can guarantee you that it's almost never easy, but it can be done.
And some of the things is that person could also be dealing with untreated trauma. That's preventing them from being able to listen to somebody.
Absolutely.
Right. And so in that particular case, then I would say, ask that person, why do you have difficulty listening to me? Why do you have difficulty listening to me? And then that will cause that person, I think it'll cause that person to now think like, wow, I thought I was listening. No, you're not listening.
And you could be dealing with a person that has always been told what to do. You're dealing with someone that never had a sense of self, never had the ability to make those definitive choices. So when they get into, as they get older, or they get into a relationship, and you're like, why don't you ever listen to me? Why don't you ever, come and talk to me? Because they were always told what to do. And so now that they are adults, they're like, I don't have to listen to you anymore. And so they just tend to tune everything out, which makes it hard when you were trying to deal with someone, when you're trying to communicate with someone. The person has been told so much, you can't do this, you can't do this, I don't want you to do that, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden they realize they have this power that belongs to them. Else can take it away. Well, I don't have to listen to you. The people I've listened to my mama and my sisters all my life. And now I realize I don't have to listen to them. I don't have to listen to you.
You don't have to listen. I don't have to listen to nobody, right?
Oh, it's a sense of gaining that control that you feel as though that was stripped away.
Right, absolutely. And in that particular case, just like I did earlier, I'm like, hold on, I didn't do it to you, so you're not going to punish me. I wasn't there. I wasn't there when they told you to be quiet. I wasn't there. So what I'm asking you to do is to kind of just hold on, because watch this, my feelings are important. And my feelings are bothering me right now. And I need to address what you're doing that is causing me to feel this way. And I would like to have positive feelings or positive experiences with you. And for some reason, the things that you're doing are not equating to positive experiences. And so now my question lies here. Do you intend to create positive, or do you intend for us to collect positive experiences together? Do you want us to collect positive experience together? When I look at your record, how many positive experiences did you register with us? Right? Oh, hold on. Somebody, oh, look at this. Somebody wanted to come in and talk. Oh my gosh. Who is that? Yeah, we got somebody coming in. I'm excited. Look out now. Come on. But yeah, yes, that's exciting. And everybody's welcome. They declined. I thought they asked to come on and then they declined. But that's all right. This ain't for everybody. Everybody don't want to put their business out there. Hold on, let's go here. I got another request. I'm going to accept it. No, somebody else. They started a request again. I sent it out. I approved it. That's good. And it's just that it's challenging. And the thing that the thing that works for me is being present. Right, and being able to set aside to be my goal is to be mentally stable enough so that I can listen to you. And if I can't turn off my already knower, right, like it's already know what you're trying to say, I already know what you're trying to do, I already know where you're going with that, I already know, I know what you're talking about. If you can't turn off that already knower and listen, then you're having a problem. Right?
That's called listening.
Right.
How's the caller doing?
I'm trying to see where they was unable to join. We'll ask them to come on one more time. There we go. Let me see here. I accepted again. So we'll see. We want them to come on because we definitely want to hear their perspective. Because we all deal with different situations and circumstances, and it's always good to hear somebody else's right.
Well, you know what? I think that, people in relationships, in order to understand, how someone is doing in the moment, let's say you're both working outside of the home or in the home, or one partner is home, the other partner is outside the home. You're both working outside of the home or in the home, or one partner.
Uh-oh.
Hello? Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Are they on two different phones?
No, my wife was setting it up for me because I didn't know how to do it.
That's all right. Well, bless God.
Well, my reason for joining is because first and foremost, I appreciate both of y'all for dealing with the topics that y'all do deal with. But my reason for joining is because, like I said in my comment, I'm 49 years old and I'm still dealing with past trauma from childhood to adulthood and so forth. And one of my main things is I have a tendency of shutting down. And that's not always a good thing, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's like I never resolve anything because I shut down. And I'm on, what other alternatives could I have as far as communication and things of that nature?
No, that's good. Thank you first of all, thank you for sharing. And so one of the things that we talk about here at Intimate Discoveries Heart to Heart is that vulnerability is the birthplace for intimate relationships, right? And in order for vulnerability to exist, there has to be two spaces that are available. And that's the first space is a brave space. In this particular case, the brave space is on you. It's your responsibility to maintain that brave space, and so that you don't shut down, that you have the courage to push through and share what you're feeling. And then the second component is a safe space where that person who you have chosen to be brave in front of provides a safe space for you to talk. And oftentimes the reason I would say for me, the reason that I was not vulnerable with my wife when I was married was because I felt that she was judgmental. Right. And so I couldn't really be honest with her. And so I understand where that being, just shut down, like, you know what, forget it, don't worry about it. And I know that for me, I had about 30 years of my life where I felt like nobody cared about my feelings. Right?
Well, I definitely understand that. And, you did touch base just now where you were like, people be judgmental and things like that. But I myself, I look at words like bullets. And I never want to be the one to where I can say something that I can't take back. Irregardless of, whether you say I'm sorry or I didn't mean that, you said that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my main reasons. I think more or less, even with the trauma itself, I'm dealing with communication issues. Mm-hmm. Because, I'm not going to say like, I don't know how to communicate, but I have a tendency of saying what I think, and that's why I shut down.
Well, I would, for me, I would say that shutting down, that you have to come to a space where you create an environment where you can you can communicate all the way through how you're feeling. Like, no, hold on, I need to complete this. I need to complete this thought. I need to complete this feeling. I need to transfer this experience that I'm having right now. And that's where that brave space comes into play. That and like we say, you gotta man up and stand up for your feelings and know that how you feel is right. And then, like I said, we were talking about earlier early in the broadcast. We were talking about getting to a space where you can assign those feelings and giving yourself space where you can sit down and determine where that experience was and what can I assign that with, so that you're not getting upset because you were feeling hostile or your feelings were hurt. And come to find out, your feelings weren't hurt. It was just you were being critical. And then now you can properly assign that and say, hey, you know what? I was just being critical. And so I don't have to put that much energy in that particular situation because I was being critical. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so, but have you ever had a moment where somebody sat you down and you had a conversation and somebody said, well, these are the feelings that you probably had. Can you tell me which one of those that you identify with? Has that ever happened to you?
A while back.
A while? How? No, seriously. How long ago did that happen?
It was in 2020.
It was in 2020, so 4 years ago. And then what happened? When was the time before then?
Never.
See, then that's my point. That's my point exactly. That we as men are not given those safe spaces to talk. And because we don't have those safe spaces to talk, we like, you know what? They told me to man up and be strong. And so I don't deal with it, huh?
Well, no disrespect to the young lady that's on here, but this is directed towards you within itself. As a man, mm-hmm. we're really open as far as to communicating and airing out our problems. Because mm-hmm. as a child, like you just said, you was taught to man up, stop crying, don't come in here with that telling, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I excuse me, I can only speak for myself. I grew up in an environment where drugs was abused, and sometimes we were abused. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm basing that off my experience. I can only speak about myself. And so, it's not like, as a man, you're not going to open up and just say, well, I'm dealing with this, or this is what I got going on, or this is not right. Because we was always taught as a man, you do what? You figure it out.
You figure it out.
You know what I'm saying?
And so the beautiful part about this podcast is that those days are over.
But like you said earlier, last week, mm-hmm. they are over. And that's why when I first came on, I said, I still deal with trauma from a childhood to adulthood, all the way up to now, because certain things a person can say to me will trigger mm-hmm. those emotions or those feelings. And that's part of why I shut down, because I know where, you know what I'm saying, right. where things can go. And I'm trying to, I work every day, I take care of my family. That's the life I want. I don't want to go backwards.
Right.
I'm looking for the positive.
Right. And so as you're talking, I'm hold on.
Frank,
I'm
just say this one thing.
go ahead.
So what I'm hearing the gentleman say is that, he has these emotions, these feelings that he doesn't know how to handle, to manage, because he's correct. Growing up, boys don't cry. Go somewhere and sit down. Stop being a tattletale. Blah, blah, blah. So I think as men, most men are uncomfortable dealing with their emotions, and they lack the skills to handle the emotion. So there's no safe space. So they don't have that sense of feeling safe or comfortable. So they shut down. They keep it in and they shut down. And I to not only men, but I say to women as well, if you can, when you are feeling, however you are feeling, if at that moment you can express your feelings to someone close to you, moment,
Right.
that exercise. Also, another exercise is when you are feeling a certain way, write it down. Write it down and ponder over it. Talk to your partner about it. But the good thing about it is, people are starting to recognize their feelings, especially when they are feeling overwhelmed. And that's a good tool. A good tool about recognizing your feelings, handling your emotions is journaling. Write it down.
Right.
If you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're a child, if you're adolescent, write it down and then discuss it later. Hey, you said this 2 days ago or a week ago, and I want to keep about it.
Right.
Write it down. Keep a journal of how you're feeling instead of shutting down, because when you shut down, it's just like I talked about the sore, it's going to fester. And it can eat you up.
Right. And
so that's
and then what Golden is talking about is that if you don't write it down and you let it fester, when your wife comes to you, right, and just to have a conversation with you, because you haven't processed that or you haven't set it aside, I think that it inhibits your ability to be there for her. Right? Because you have to be mentally stable enough to sit there with your hands folded and not take it personal, and allow her to be able to share and talk about how she's feeling, and then in a reciprocal relationship that she does the same for you. And
so instead of using the word stable, mentally stable, how about
what?
Comfortable.
Mentally comfortable.
Comfortable.
You have to be comfortable. Right.
In a place to exchange feelings, exchange how your day is going. What you said to me last night hurt my feelings. I was feeling. You made me feel inadequate. It just made me think of when I was a little boy and my dad did this, or the guy down the street did this. That's how you made me feel. And, we have to understand that we can use words to describe how we are feeling. And remember, it's a two-way street. It goes both ways. So if you have a partner or a friend or a parent or whomever you can talk to about how you are feeling, how they are feeling, it goes both ways. And so we have to learn how to be comfortable, because I know for me, I'm not comfortable with sharing my feelings with some of my family members or friends. I may two or three people that I will share my feelings with.
Right. And for me, I'm on the extreme. I'm sharing my feelings. I don't care who you are. I'm saying you hurt my feelings. And this is how I feel. And how I feel is right. Because I'm 51 and they ain't I'm nobody ever gonna tell me again how I should feel or what I should suppress because for me, holding all that stuff in cost me my marriage, cost me my relationship with my kids, cost me all that. And I ain't doing that no more. I'm letting you know you hurt my feelings. And listen, what you did was wrong. Well, not wrong. What you did caused me to be triggered. Because I don't think you meant to hurt my feelings. But I'm telling you what you did hurt my feelings. And I ask that you not do that again because it hurt. And again, I know you weren't there when it happened to me. But what you're doing is similar to what I experienced. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel that when I'm with you.
Well, I thank the both of y'all, and I'm going to continue joining in. And I mean, hopefully, the more I tune in, I get more out of the situation to be able to help myself and deal with things that I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I do thank the both of y'all. Mm-hmm. And y'all have a blessed evening. I'm going to continue watching.
Right. Well, hold on. I want to make sure I leave you with something. I appreciate you sharing that. You're married, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I would like for you to do or suggest that you do is that you remind yourself that you can trust your wife.
I do. My wife is basically my best friend.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And like I was saying earlier, I mean, I have a large family. Mm-hmm. I do not deal with my family mm-hmm. because of like we were saying earlier, past trauma mm-hmm. and things. I mean, don't get it wrong. I love my family, but I have learned that I love you better from a distance.
Right.
I don't have to see you. I don't have to be around mm-hmm. you. Just know I love you. I care for you. I just can't be around you.
Right. Is your mom still alive?
Yes.
Okay. How's your relationship with your mom?
It's great from a distance, all the way up there on Beltline.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect. So what I'm going to suggest to you, and I did this with my mom, and this is one thing that helped me, right? I told my mom there was a moment in my life where I was abused, and I got in the car with my mom after I got abused, right? These kids, they told me, they made me do some stuff to them that wasn't right, and they got in the pin on my shirt, right? So you can imagine what I was doing. And so I got in the car, we went to the laundromat, I took my shirt off, put it in the washing machine. I ain't tell my mom that. I ain't tell nobody. But that was a moment in my life in which my mom should have been there to hold me and console me and say, baby, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm really sorry. It's going to be okay. Right? My mom owed me that moment. And so what I did was I went back to my mom and I got my moment. Regardless of what you going on, no, mama, I'm telling you about me. This is my moment. I need you to be quiet. I need you just to tell me that it's going to be okay. And once she signed off my paperwork and said I'm okay, dealing with being abused was gone. It was already taken away. So I ain't gonna deal with that no more.
Well, I fully understand what you're saying. And I have took those measurements. I have wrote my mom letters. Me and my mom have communicated. We done sat down face to face. And it's just one of those situations where I'm to the point where she's grown. She's going to do what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I have to live my life for me. Like I said, I love her. I care for her. Mm-hmm. But I just know that the things that she's involved in, the things that she do, ain't my cup of tea. So right. I keep my... Now, if she called me and say, I need some medicine, or we ain't got no food over here, yes, I'm going to go by this. She's still my mother. I love her to death. But I just know my tolerance for what she got going on. So I keep my distance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like you say, it's not about me getting my moment or nothing like that, because we done had multiple conversations. Mm-hmm. We done, like I said, I wrote a 4-page letter about the situation. I just know that she gonna keep doing what she's doing. So I got to do what's best for me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be at her place and something go down or something happen to where I got to put myself in jeopardy, which puts my family in jeopardy. So I keep different. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And what I was saying, actually, it brings me back to what I was saying earlier about not allowing ourselves to carry someone else's burden.
Okay.
What your mom is doing in her life, that's her life.
Mm-hmm.
What you are doing in your life is your life, and it's different. Your life is going in a different direction. You are a protector, you are a provider, and you are a partner. And so,
and hold on, and an emotional being.
That's right, and an emotional being. So, in order for you to protect yourself and your family, you're not taking on that burden.
Okay.
And don't take on that burden, because that burden is going to bring you down and create additional trauma and stress in your life and in your family's life.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's not worth it. Protect yourself. Practice my gig.
Mm-hmm.
Be intentional, and give yourself some grace.
Say that again. Say the whole all three again.
Gentle, intentional, and grace.
Okay.
What is he being gentle with?
His soul, his spirit, his life. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your words. Be gentle with your touch. Be gentle how you treat yourself. But be intentional about it. Practice it. Don't just say it. Practice it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then show yourself some grace.
Mm-hmm.
We all need grace. And with grace comes forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive your partner. Just practice grace. And it all comes together.
Right.
And you will be better off for it. Because we are so quick to judge ourselves. We are so quick to be hard on ourselves. And it's easy to do. It's so easy. Why is it so easy to be hard on ourselves and so difficult to show ourselves grace and to be gentle and to practice it?
Mm-hmm.
Why so hard?
Not to really cut you off, and I do apologize, but that's one thing that I can honestly say for a great part of my life I have dealt with, and that's being judgmental towards myself. Like, like the old people used to always say, we are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
And I can honestly say that because I'm so quick to get in somebody else's head and think what they're judging me on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, I know they noticed this. I know they noticed that. I know they noticed this. And you beat yourself up, and the person, you giving yourself too much credit. They're not even thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, I do it. I enjoy the podcast. Y'all do touch the bases on, a lot of good things. And I'm just basically working on myself and trying to figure out how I can become a better person for myself and my family.
Right. So let me ask you this here, right? Do you think that you're a better person today than you were yesterday?
Honestly, yes.
Okay, so perfect. And so in that part, build on that. Focus on the fact that you are better than you were yesterday.
Yes.
And because you're better than you were yesterday, you can sit up and smile and you can say thank God. Bless God. I am better than what I was yesterday. And you focus. Go ahead.
You're being intentional about
That's been intentional, like she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because like out of y'all last week, Cass, I talked to a couple of guys at my job about it. You know what I'm saying? And I got a guy at my job. He lost his father. maybe 2 years ago, and me and him talk a lot. And like I told him, I said, man, stop looking for something to replace that. I say, take the tools and use the tools that he gave you while he was here to better yourself. I said, you don't need nobody to replace your father. I said, one thing about God, he don't make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? He took him at the time he needed him. But he felt like probably that you was already man enough and ready enough, and he had installed enough in you. And from that point on, he just be like, man, what would my father do? Stuff like that. And like I tell him, I say, that's what you use. Use the tools that he already gave you. Quit looking for somebody else to replace your father.
Mm-hmm.
So I do take stuff from y'all podcast and I use it in my everyday life, try to help others as well as help myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, like I said from the beginning, I do appreciate y'all and I will be tuning back in.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes, we both love it. We're thankful that you're here because you made this show very inspiring, very thought-provoking, and it wouldn't have been the same without you. And we thank you for being vulnerable, and we appreciate you because it takes courage.
Yes, it does. It takes courage. And I encourage people, the podcast is wonderful. And like I said, it's heart to heart. Touch our heart so we can touch yours. I truly mean that. But also, I encourage everybody to, if you can get the help that you need, reach out to a therapist, to a specialist who can help you be the best you can be. Because that's so important. We all need it. We all need our minds healthy. And if you don't have a healthy mind, you're not going to have a healthy spirit, a healthy body, a healthy soul.
Well.
Get the help that you need. And it's okay. It is truly okay.
Y'all two my new therapists.
well, bless God. But the thing is this, right? As long as you find a space where you can drop that, where you can dump off that moment that's causing you trauma. Right? If this is a moment where you can drop it off and you can assign it to a properly assigned, and you know what that moment was. Because here's the thing, right? Unless you start assigning those feelings to different experiences, when you're not going to be able to experience life to the fullest, because when your wife or your kids come to you and let's say, for example, that they're feeling discouraged and you have yet to go through your life and assign a moment that you felt discouraged. And then what's going to happen is they're going to like, sir, I'm sorry you can't connect. Please come back later because he has yet to assign an experience with that emotion and he can't connect with you right now. And that's the part where you begin, I'm telling you, for me, when I did the work and I'm sitting here listening to somebody and then my feelings just come up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. That happened to you. I remember when that happened to me. Oh my gosh. Listen, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And when that started happening to you and you're connecting and they're like, oh my gosh, I can come talk to Frank about anything. That's when you start living. That's the part that we were not taught as men, that you can be emotionally available. You are more than just a provider and protector. You are an emotional being. You have the capability to cause a person to feel really, really good about their relationship with you. And I want you to start understanding that you're more than just a provider and protector. Right.
I mean, there's been times where me and my wife would go out and the atmosphere is good, the scenery is good, but I really can't enjoy myself because I'm so preoccupied with the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I tell anybody, every being in my body is to protect my wife, my family. And with that being said, I don't want to leave nothing to cause or nothing to a second guess. So I'm always looking, because like I told you, I came from the street era.
Right.
So I'm looking for things like of that nature. If I want to put her in harm's way or a situation that neither one of us might be able to walk away from.
Right.
So, so I definitely understand what you're saying. But, like the old people say, I guess I'm just work in progress. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take it by day, and hopefully when I listen, I tune in, I gain something to benefit something from this. You know what I'm saying? And what I can't use, I just put on the shelf, and hopefully when it comes, I can grab it off the shelf and apply it.
Absolutely beautiful. And I'm gonna leave you with this one thing here, right?
Yes, sir.
When you going through those what if situations, I want you to write them down.
Yeah.
Write them down, all your what if situations, right? And don't add to the list. Again, after you wrote down those situations about what if this happens, and then you already know that these things are going, what may happen, right? And then after you've written those things down, start having a good time with your wife.
I got you.
Right? Start, because again, those things those what if statements, those what if thoughts, how many times have they ever happened?
Never.
Right? No, but hold on, Glory, hold on. So it never happened. How long you been married?
Going on 7 years.
Going on 7 years, right? And so right now, if that just you
apologize,
6 years, so we're gonna give it a 5, right? We're gonna give it a 5. So that's 120 times. 120 times that you've been out with your wife, that you've missed an intimate moment because you're sitting up here thinking about what if.
And you're right.
And you missed, no, I'm saying you missed 120 moments. Just twice a month. 5 years. 120 moments that you've missed to connect with your beautiful wife who love you. And so now the question that we have, are you going to get to 145? Are you going to get to 600?
No, I'm going to take your advice.
Yes. Because we know in the streets, right? We know in the streets, if you had 120 shortcomings, you came up short 120 times, right? You know that there will be somebody to deal with you.
Yeah.
Right? So now, don't let another moment go by that you out with your wife and you miss an intimate moment to connect.
Okay.
Right? Otherwise, somebody got to deal with you. Or you know what? You're going to be like me, sitting there with the judge and he's dealing with you. And you're looking like, oh my gosh. I miss though. I'm keeping it real.
Yeah, I understand.
Because that stuff hurt, man. I've been sitting here. I'm trying to tell. That's why I'm on the podcast now. So that you to raise to sound the alarm to say, man, you are better than that. You can enjoy life to the fullest. And nobody was there to tell me. No. There was somebody who was trying to tell. My ex-wife, she was trying to tell me. It's just that I was winning in life. And because I was winning and she was beautiful and I went from E1 to Lieutenant Commander, I was doing great. So couldn't nobody tell me nothing. And I was missing it. Mm-hmm. And I missed, and her number was 385. And I went to 480. Cause that's to marry 20 years, twice a month. I went to 480. So I was over my limit. So make the changes. You got this. Talk to your wife. Have a safe space. And the last thing, be brave enough to be vulnerable.
I understand. I definitely understand. And again, I appreciate the both of y'all. And thank y'all.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the show. We appreciate you, man. We'll see you next week.
All right. Y'all have a blessed night.
You too, man. Golden, take us out.
All right. Another amazing show with an amazing person that called in. And so I really have no more words.
You have no more words.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Let me see what we got. Can a brother come in and play our last little moment?
A champion.
Yes. Another amazing moment with Golden and the champ. Golden and the champ. But we come together to help you figure out how you can experience the fullness in your relationship. Not my relationship, your relationship. We want you to experience the fullness of your relationship. And how you can do that is through good. Being gentle with yourself, being intentional about being better, and giving yourself grace. Let's go!
They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here
now. We're here right now.
And I'm here to stay, never go down.
Yes.
Cause I'm a champion.
Yes. This is the championship living, baby. There you go. Ow! Yes, wonderful. Yes. Love you, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Take care.
Night.
Yep. Good night. Untreated trauma and its effects on relationships. Period. Hashtag podcast life. Hashtag communication. Hashtag marriage works. Hashtag intimacy. Hashtag intimacy coach. Hashtag Champ Franklin speaks. Hashtag heart to heart.